Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. I'm going to try and keep it really short, but I'm basically going to be showing you how to set up and install a PHP development environment on Ubuntu. Now, I'm going to be using Ubuntu Mate as my distro for this tutorial. However, this works on all flavors of Ubuntu. As you can see, I'm running Ubuntu Unity as my main machine, but I'll be using Ubuntu Mate to install LAMP on because I've already got it all set up here. As I said, LAMP is basically the name when you've got PHP, MySQL, and Apache all running in sync. Now I'm going to go ahead and go straight on in by pressing Ctrl-Alt-T, which will open up my terminal. Alternatively, you can, of course, go to Applications, System Tools, and obviously go into Mate Terminal. However, that will be it might be called Mate Terminal, or it might just be called Terminal. It all depends on your flavor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start a sudo session. This basically allows me to authenticate myself as sudo, which basically means run the command as administrator. So now instead of having to do sudo apt-get install and whatever package, I can just go ahead and do apt-get install the package name, and it just really speeds things up. And I'll show you how to log out of sudo at the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and install Apache. Apache is the web server that we are going to be using. Alternatively, you can use Nginx, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and use Apache 2. So, this is simply do apt-get install Apache 2. If this does not work, if it says it cannot find this package, you have to simply run apt-get space update. This will download the latest versions of the repositories from the Ubuntu servers, thus allowing you to install the software. It's like having to download the installer from the internet and then running it. Basically, you have to download the installers first. However, mine are all up to date. I checked that before I did this tutorial. The next thing I'm going to set up is MySQL. And go ahead and do apt-get install mysql-server. You can also install the client with mysql-client, which gives you a nice command line client, although the basic command line client does come with this installation right here. Although we're going to be using PHP myadmin, we're not going to need to use this. Okay, it's going to ask you to enter a password for the root user. I'm going to go ahead and enter just password 123. I'm going to go ahead and repeat it as well. Okay, this is continue now. As you can see, look, as I said, it does come with a version of MySQL client. I think the one that you can install is a slightly better one, or you can install just the client as a standalone without the server if you're going to be using this as a client and not a MySQL server. Okay, so now Apache 2 is running. I might as well just show you this. Go ahead and open up a web browser just while this is installing. The web server will be running at localhost, providing that the server started successfully, which I'm sure it would have done. And I'll sort of show you how to restart that as well. So you can go ahead and do localhost, and it should be, there we go. So yes, it is running. This is like the default thing that comes as soon as you install the software. Okay, I go back to my terminal. Don't know what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and install PHP. Now, basically, Apache does not come with PHP installed by default because some people use it to host Python websites and other CGI solutions. I'm going to go ahead and install PHP 5. You can also install some other versions of PHP, but I'm going to go for the targeted version of 5 because it's the most stable version in my opinion. So I'm going to do sudo, oh I don't need to do sudo, sorry, apt-get install PHP 5. So what this should do, it's going to work out where it is, and I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. Okay, so next, after this, it's usually quite quick, we're going to simply test it, and we're going to set a different default directory for the web server, and I'll explain why in just 1 second. Just let this finish, and then we'll be installing PHP myadmin. Now, PHP myadmin can be installed one or two ways. You can either go ahead onto your web browser and go to PHP myadmin, download it, and then unzip it to your servers, your web servers directory, your www root, or you can simply use a command line installer which has already been provided for you by Ubuntu. PHPMyAdmin is basically a web interface, so you can control your MySQL server and create and administrate databases, as well as controlling the users, and I think you can also get performance statistics on your server if this is, say, a production server. Although for anything major like that, I would strongly recommend using the MySQL Studio or workstation or whatever it's called. You can download it from the MySQL website at no cost. Okay, so now while this is just doing its thing, we're going to go ahead and it's going to let us choose. So you can see this PHPMyAdmin can either run on Light HDPD, it could probably also run on Nginx as well. We're going to select Apache 2 because that's what we installed earlier. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my file explorer, and I'm going to go ahead and show you where it is stored, where your www root and that simple website is stored. It's in var on your C drive, on your main drive. You want to go to www html, and then here's that document that we opened. So that we can see over here, and you can see we can access it locally as well because it's simply HTML. So this is the annoying thing about when you first install. I can't actually create anything in here because this is in the C drive, and even if your user is an administrative user, they still do not have access to this file. We can fix this in one of two ways. You got to sometimes set this up. So this is going to ask me for the password, which I did earlier, or actually I just tend to enter the same password. 23 password 123. And this is now for that root account which we just created. Right, I'm sorry, I'm sort of switching from two topics here. This is the root account that we created earlier when we set up MySQL, so we can simply do password 123, which is the password that we set earlier when we installed MySQL. Okay, that's going to sort all that out. This is a great little perk of this, so we can either go ahead and set the permissions using the chow command, like that, but I'm not going to do that because it gets a bit messy. I'm actually just going to go ahead and change the document directory to my documents folder, and the reason I'm doing this is because that way this is a development this is a setting up a development environment. If it was a production environment, I would strongly recommend leaving it in var www, but because this is a development environment, I'm actually going to go ahead and create a new folder in here and just simply call it php_work, like so. And this way, if you're working on anything, you can just create new projects and all that great stuff in here. We'll also test PHP in just 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to use a great tool now to allow me to change the configuration files, which I, by the way, can't change. They are in etc. They're protected by the same stuff that protects this var folder. Now, because I can't change these, I need to use a root thing. I'm going to go ahead and fire up a command called Nautilus. If you're not running this with a sudo session, you'll have to do sudo Nautilus, but I'm already in. I'm already logged in with a sudo session. Oh, it's not actually installed by default. Okay, that's okay. Got to install Nautilus as well. Sometimes it comes pre-installed, sometimes it doesn't. It sort of changes with version to version of the software. What Nautilus basically is, it's a root, it's like we're opening the file explorer as administrator, so I can have full administrative privileges over every single file on the computer. This is what we need. It's going to sort of let it do its thing, and then just do Nautilus, like so. Okay, so see, as super user, we can go ahead to computer, and you can now see we can actually edit the var www. See, we can create new folders and all that good stuff. But we're not going to. We're going to go ahead and do etc. Just here. We're going to go to Apache 2. It seems to be 2. I don't know why there's 2 files. That's probably not a good thing. And basically, I'm going to go to Apache. So we're going to go to first of all, sites available, and edit 000default.conf, and we're going to edit this with Pluma. Other versions of Ubuntu may have different default text editors. You need to edit this with a text editor. I'm going to change this file with this line, usually line 12, called document root. And we're basically going to do home / then your username. And now I'm going to go into the documents folder. That's where I've stored it. Basically, wherever you put that file where you want your new root to be. So mine, for example, is in my documents folder, and then it's php_work. Okay. Going to save that. And there are a couple of things we need to do just before we finish. And sorry, it's this file. I'm going to go back, and now we would get a forbidden error if we did this. I'll just sort of show you what that looks like now, because actually no, because then if I close this process, basically if I control C this window will close, and then we'll have to navigate back here. Basically, you'll get it forbidden. You try and access localhost, it'll say forbidden, because the web server doesn't have permission. It's sort of protected to stop, intrusions into your own files. So we're going to go ahead and fix this by going into apache2.conf and open this with Pluma. And then going to go ahead and scroll down and wait until you find directory. Here we go. So this var/www is where it used to be. Now we could just copy this and create a new directory for our old place, for our new directory where our websites will be stored. Or you can simply just change this to /home/Gibbons, your username, documents /php_work, and this should then allow you theoretically to access that documents folder. Now, if it doesn't, we might need to also right click this and actually give it permissions, but I'm going to give Apache permissions, but I'm not going to do that as a super user, because then it's going to lock me out of using it as my actual user, because then it'll be owned by root. It's what I was saying earlier about if you control C in here, you can see if I end the Nautilus process, it's here, basically the window will close as well. It's not like a headless process, it needs to be continually running in the command line. Okay, so now for this new configuration changes to take place, we need to restart Apache 2 web server. This is quite easy. You do it using the service, so you go sudo. Actually, we don't need to do sudo, of course, because we're in a sudo session. I keep forgetting. Simply just do service Apache 2 restart. And what this would do, restart our web server, reload all the configuration, and there we go. If you had an error, it would take quite a long time, and then would say there's been an error. But I haven't had any errors, thankfully, so it's pretty good. Go to localhost. You can see I've got index off, and there's nothing in here because this is, of course, a blank directory. There's nothing in here, so I'm actually going to create a new file, and this will simply be, we'll call it test.php. You see, we can actually create a directory in here just called test. We could maybe even actually rename this, to index, and put index into test, like that. Now you can see we've got test. This is a great thing, you don't actually have to restart your web server to change stuff that's been done in here. We don't need to do anything else with the web server now. Okay, so we're going to open this. I'm going to go ahead and edit this with Pluma, and I'm going to write some simple PHP code, bearing in mind that this is not aimed at, this tutorial isn't aimed at people who are not, this isn't aimed to teach you guys how to do PHP, basically, if I can get that out there. So if this works, basically, if we've installed PHP correctly, it will print out hello world. So we're going to test, there you go, and you can also see, you can do the PHP info, I think we're going to print that out. I haven't used this for so long. I don't know how to use it. Oh well. As you can see though, it's just normal HTML. You can program in here. Your web server is 100% functional. And we can also connect to the database server, which I'll do in just 1 second. You could, obviously, it's just a database server, so it's running. There you go, that's fine. This isn't a cool thing. It's because we've installed phpMyAdmin from the command line. It means we don't need to put the phpMyAdmin files in this directory. it's got its own virtual host, like, you know how we went into the directory stuff in the Apache 2.config. Well, basically, PHPMyAdmin's got its own directory, and it's sort of got its own virtual set, so it has to be stored with all the other web server stuff, all your development stuff, which I quite like. They can do /phpMyAdmin. Well, I'll have to work out why that's not doing that. I might as well show you. Sometimes that works. I don't know why it's not working. It's the first time I tried it on Ubuntu, mate, so, oh well. I'm going to go ahead and just download it from phpMyAdmin. You can go to phpMyAdmin.net. This is the alternative way of using phpMyAdmin. I'm very sorry about that not working earlier. So we're going to go ahead, download this, and I'm going to go ahead and open it like this with the file manager. And we're basically just going to copy this PHPMyAdmin code in there. I'm quite confused why that didn't work. Did it run correctly, maybe? Let's see. Maybe it didn't complete or something. Oh no. That's quite strange. I've never known it to do that before. Oh yeah, sorry. This is how you log out of a sudo session. You just type exit, and it will log you out. And then you can go ahead and type exit again, and it will just close the terminal window. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to do Control J. And this should basically... Is it still downloading? Okay. So now we can... Yep, it's opened automatically. So we've now got PHPMyAdmin. We're going to go ahead and extract this to here. It's just sort of copying. Now you got PHPMyAdmin. You want to rename this to just PHPMyAdmin. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and do F5, and you can see you can go to PHPMyAdmin, and it should load up. PHPMyAdmin does not actually require any configuration. As long as you've got your database server running, you should be okay. So you can simply log in with root and obviously the password that you set up when installing MySQL. For my example, it was password123, and you can see, there you go. It's logged me in okay. You can see I can go ahead and do user accounts, and I can add users, status. It tells me some stuff about the SQL server. Obviously, there's not going to be too much to think about because this is just a development environment, and it's only been running probably 50 or 60 seconds. Go ahead to SQL, and you can run SQL queries to the server. You can also obviously create databases with a nice web interface. This is why I like PHPMyAdmin. Okay, and I think that about concludes this now. Everything seems to be working. I don't know why PHPMyAdmin didn't work earlier, but hey, you know, it sort of does what it wants. So I'd just like to thank you, and welcome to Ubuntu. And I'd like to thank you very much for tuning into this video. I really hope this has helped you in some way. I'm sorry if it got a bit complicated with the configuration files, although that is not a necessity. It really does make developing on Ubuntu a lot nicer. Thank you very much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up. Maybe even post some comments if you had any questions. Also, if you'd like to see more videos like this, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.